Some energy drinks want to scare you. Some even want to bully you around. And the others, they're just blowing smoke. Packed with vitamins B3, B5, B6, and B12, the new HiQ energy drink comes available in 4 exciting flavors. Skyberry Fusion, Apple, Coconut Fruit Punch, and Lemon Lime. Natural caffeine, no preservatives, no crash, no bull. HiQ energy drink. Wings are for birds.
Rudo Apparel powers teams and athletes around the world by offering the best in customer uniforms at an unbeatable price. Visit RudoApparel.com or give them a call today at 347-850-2720 to build your one-of-a-kind uniform made just the way you want. Rudo Apparel, the #1 shop for custom uniforms and apparel. That's 347-850-2720.
It is Friday, July 27th, 2018, and I'm Dan Conard here with your NHL Weekly update. We have a lot of transaction news to get through today, and then one major story coming out of the NHL over the past 2 days that will forever change the way Carolina Hurricanes see and listen to their team's broadcast, at least for the near future. Let's start with the transaction news, though. Tristan Jarry, the backup goalie for the Penguins, agrees to a 1-year deal. The contract is worth $675,000, and at just 23 years old, he was 14-6-2 last season with a 2.77 goals against and a .908 save percentage. Jarry did not play in the Stanley Cup Finals last season as the backup goalie, but he is hoping to get a little bit more playing time this year, but we'll have to see what happens as the season goes on. Mackenzie Weegar signs a 1-year deal with the Florida Panthers. No financial terms are released. He had just 8 points with the Panthers last season over 60 games. Saying that, however, the leadership of the team believes that Weegar has shown that he is a talented young player who will contribute to the team's growth, and that's great to hear from management all around, that you still have people on the team that believe in these young players, that believe they will succeed, because that in itself gives these young players the confidence to be out there on the ice and to know that from top to bottom, everybody believes in what you can do, and it gives you that motivation to go out and do it. Jason Zucker will return to the Wild on a 5-year contract that's worth $27.5 million. Zucker said he is happy with what he believes is a bigger role in his season, and that he needs to improve this season. Well, Zucker had a career-high 33 goals over 31 assists last season, but he's just not happy with it. So if Zucker can improve from there, who knows what the Wild may look like as the season continues on. Brett Kulak has been given a 1-year deal after his arbitration hearing. Kulak will make $900,000 with the Flames this season. Kulak had 2 goals and 6 assists last season over 71 games. Mattis Janmark signs a 1-year, $2.3 million contract with the Stars. He comes off of a 19-goal season with 15 assists over 81 games. Dallas coach Jim Montgomery says Janmark will be a great secondary scorer for their team. So Janmark's role this year will be that secondary scorer, and they hope at least 25 goals, I'm assuming, because you're going to want a little bit more than 19 from your secondary scorer. So they're going to be hoping for a little bit more goals from Janmark this season, even if he is in that secondary role. Dan Hamhuis will lead the Stars and head to the Nashville Predators. Hamhuis signed a 2-year, $2.5 million contract with the Preds. He played his first 6 seasons in Nashville before heading to Dallas. He had 3 goals and 21 assists in 80 games with Dallas last season, and now the defenseman will return back to Nashville. Mark Jankowski signed a 2-year, $3.35 million contract at the Flames. He had 17 goals and 8 assists over 72 games. Says he's really ready to go out with full force after having a full learning year under his belt. Jankowski crediting last year as a full year where he could play and learn from all the veterans that were out there on the ice, and now he is ready to go out and make his impact on the team. Brandon Montour signed a 2-year contract with the Ducks. Says he loves Anaheim and that's why he wanted to return. Had a career high 9 goals and 23 assists over 32 games. So a lot of improvements this past week by many teams, and there will be more that continue to come on. And season's not far away. I mean, it's the end of July. August is coming up, and it'll be interesting to see what these teams do to put their final pieces together before heading into the regular season. Well, saying that, the Carolina Hurricanes have new ownership this year, and that new ownership is already making waves, if you want to say that with the fans, is already making moves that you begin to question a little bit. Chuck Caton out as the Carolina Hurricanes radio broadcaster after 39 seasons. He came in with Carolina back 39 years ago when Carolina came into the National Hockey League. It was just an interesting aspect. It was an interesting article to read because they didn't hire another radio broadcaster. And while his contract was up this season, there was a offer that was submitted in, and we now know that a counteroffer was submitted back that would cost Caton to receive an 80% pay cut, as the new owner Tom Dundee attempted to reckon with the money-losing radio broadcast. And there's stories coming out that there was only about 500 to 2,000 people listening a night. And even if that is the case, you have to understand that radio, as far as hockey goes, is not a big thing. It's not like you sit there and you're watching it on TV and see what can go on. You're kind of imagining in your head, and unless you're a great, like Doc Emmerich, it's a little bit harder to give that picture of what is going on out there in the ice on the radio that you kind of see with baseball, where baseball can be listened to, or even football to a certain extent on the radio, and you still have that mental picture in your head. It's a little bit harder with hockey. So the quote come from Caton is, that is how I look at it. I really was hoping we could make some headway. And when he's saying there is he was hoping for a reasonable offer to stay, but obviously the offer was an invitation to leave. So he feeling that, he was kind of forced out the door, and that being by the 80% pay cut. And I can tell you right now, as a play-by-play broadcaster, I call baseball and hockey, not at the NHL level, at a smaller level, but I still call baseball and hockey on the radio, baseball as well. So I know the challenges that go into calling both sports on a radio aspect. This new way of broadcasting is not going to work. It may work for this season, but it's not going to work as time goes on. What the Carolina Hurricanes are going to do is take their TV broadcast and broadcast that onto the radio. Well, now you have two issues with that. The television broadcasters are going to have to call the game on television and the radio, which is going to be difficult if you're a play-by-play broadcaster, which is going to be difficult if you're an analyst, because now you're not going to have as much airtime, because your play-by-play guy not only has to call it as if he's calling it on TV, but on the radio as well. And by doing that, if you have a play-by-play guy who's so used to calling on the television, that's the way he's going to want to call the game this season. So there's not going to be that great descriptive plays out on the ice, the great descriptive that a radio broadcaster would use to kind of give that radio listener an idea of what is going on. Now, the team itself did say, as for the future of a radio broadcast, we are exploring our options, especially the possibility of airing the audio from our FS Carolina television broadcast. Now, that statement was released before the announcement was made that that is what will happen, that the television broadcast will be put onto the radio, and John Forslund, who is their television play-by-play guy, will be heard, at least what is being said now, both on the television and on the radio as well. In a world today where there's so much more opportunities to broadcast, not only on television, on radio, but through a streaming service as well. It amazes me that the Carolina Hurricanes did not try and go and use one of these streaming services to cut down on the cost and to keep their broadcaster in the booth, because that's what they're saying, that it was too much money to have a radio broadcast that only saw 500 to 2,000 viewers, yet we will take our television and put it on the radio. So you begin to wonder if it truly was that Caitlin was not supposed to be in the Hurricanes booth anymore, that the new ownership just wanted him out. Because of me as an owner of a NHL team or any team with so much different opportunities out there to broadcast games, I would have kept him, maybe not paid him the same amount, but definitely not an 80% pay cut, and used the online platforms that are around and begin to broadcast our radio games online. Usually radio's free. It's usually on an AM or FM station now. You can continue that online. You can continue showing ads. It's something that I do personally with a lot of the college and high school teams, and that is something that very well could have been done in the National Hockey League as far as the Hurricanes broadcast goes. Well, that is all we have here for your NHL Weekly Update. I'm Dan Conard. Have a good night.